Hello, my loves. Cassandra McAllen here for some more thought pain therapy today. With everything that's kind of going on in the world right now, I thought it would be a good time to revisit the subject of compassion again. How do we practice compassion other than as an intellectual desire? How do we pull it down into our bodies, our feelings, and actually live with compassion? It begins with compassion for ourselves, and that begins with forgiveness. I like to think of forgiveness as the gateway drug of compassion. And once we get high on forgiveness, it's the most natural thing in the world to have it lead to compassion. Compassion for self first, and then for others. You see, we all have such tendencies to hold ourselves and each other to unremitting standards, such perfectionist expectations, that it's honestly hard to be compassionate to each other. It's hard to look at another person's plight and feel empathy, and that's essential for compassion. Now, empathy is often misunderstood, and people compare it to the golden rule of do unto others as we would have them do unto us. But that's not true empathy. When we expect another person to act as we would, this catalyzes our own internal judgment, which makes it a personal decision about whether or not they deserve our empathy or compassion. Perhaps you might have said to yourself, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have been in their situation. Empathy done. I mean, now compassion feels a little foolish or even unnecessary and all but a quickly fleeting thought. Because we look at them and we think they're foolish, unwise, selfish, or, let's be honest, just plain stupid. If they would have been smarter, then they wouldn't be in the position they are in today. I certainly wouldn't have. Thus, I don't have much compassion for that. And before you get judgmental, this mindset is really easy to come by. I mean, if you think about it, organized religions often preach that the righteous don't suffer. It's only the sinners that do. And this often subliminal thought process, therefore, isn't unusual at all. We tend to automatically judge each other harshly, especially when other people are acting in ways that we disagree with, ways that we know we would have handled better. You might even say that it's the hallmark of Western society, which begins with the core belief that if we work hard enough, we'll succeed, which is predicated on the underlying belief that those who aren't successful aren't really willing to work for it. It's the basis of something called social Darwinism, survival of the fittest, which comes from the psychological effect called belief in a just world. Now, as you've heard me say before, probably, belief in a just world is, in my personal opinion, one of the most detrimental thought processes that infect our society. It is the birthplace of people's inhumanity to others. And it's the unconscious belief that, most simply put, bad things happen to bad people. Ergo, if someone's in a bad position or has had something bad happen to them, then they must have done something to deserve it, which is also the hallmark of victim blaming. It's why we ask a rape victim what she was wearing or why she was drinking. It's why we might say, get a job, to a homeless person. It's even why we can emotionally write off atrocities in other countries by perceiving them as somehow justified. And and therefore more deserving of their plight, no matter how sad we might think it is. This just world belief tells our minds that if someone is living on the street, we can automatically assume that they've done something wrong and therefore are unworthy of our assistance. We can place them in a category of other or not our problem. We might even tell ourselves stories about how they must have done something bad in this life or even a past life, like having bad karma. Maybe they're alcoholics or drug addicts or even worse. We can separate them from us and those we love. We can even refuse to help because it's not our fault and our problem that they're in the place they are today. Surely it's their own, or maybe society's as a whole. Either way, you can't expect us as individuals to try to help somebody who isn't willing to help themselves or has made bad choices. This is often what is argued when a woman is raped. She shouldn't have, insert here, and she wouldn't have, outcome there. Or if a man is shot, beaten, or robbed in the inner cities, they must have been doing something illegal or not being smart. Shouldn't be where they are or even living there. This subconscious, again, belief is even expanded out to tragedies like world hunger. Well, they shouldn't be living where there's no food or having so many children they can't feed. They should complain to their government or not be so lazy or stupid or, hey, even subject to conditions we might feel are related to their ethnicity or religion. So why do we believe these things, even subconsciously? Why is it so easy to victim blame? Why do we hold the belief in a just world? Well, because we feel it keeps us safe. If we hold on to the belief that bad things only happen to bad people, then we will be safe if we remain good, whatever that means. Or smarter, or have more foresight or forethought, or not be so foolhardy or greedy or selfish or whatever, you name it. We can look at ourselves and our loved ones and believe that we all will be safe. We will not be harmed like those others who were unwise or bad people. And maybe we might even say, got what they deserved. I mean, sure, it's sad, but what can we do when people make bad choices? However, since we're smart enough, we will be safe, and we and those we love will not be a statistic to these horrible crimes or unfortunate outcomes. To the unconscious or unexamined mind, this belief is essential to keep us from our potentially debilitating thoughts on the chaotic and unpredictable nature of life. Because we, by and large, cannot consciously rest in a state of unknowing. Think about it. We can't go on living our lives freely without believing we have some control over them. And what happens when all else fails and a horrible thing does occur to a good person, despite our beliefs to the contrary? What do we say? Well, oftentimes we still can't allow for mere chance or simply bad luck, so we give another the blame or power to decide our fates. And we say, it was God's will, or they were just too perfect for this world. We have to believe this, because to think otherwise would leave us open to chaos, right? Subject to the possibility of that which we most fear, which is that we have no control over the fate of our lives and those we love. We can't keep them safe. We can't keep any of us safe. And this thought is unacceptable. Many of us couldn't even consciously continue enjoying our lives while simultaneously holding in our awareness thoughts of our own impending doom or demise. This would cause what we call in psychology cognitive dissonance, which is the mental unease that happens when we have contradictory thoughts or beliefs or attitudes at the same time, like the existential awareness of life and of our own mortality. So we have to push the knowledge of our own impending death down and away in order to continue on planning, creating, experiencing, and enjoying our lives while we have them. So, knowing this, how can we change it? How can we open our hearts and minds to empathy and compassion? Firstly, we have to consciously acknowledge that sometimes we can't understand the ebb and flow of positive and negative experiences, that we don't have the control we think we do, that bad things do happen to good people and good things do happen to bad people, that prayer is often not a demonstrable predictor of positive change. And while it definitely can feel good in our hearts and minds and even help and create and maintain social relationships, it's not a proven form of protection or prevention. And the outcome of this understanding is that all beings are capable of beautiful and horrible things, of moments of enlightened grace and terrible depravity, that the capacity for the best of all of humanity and the worst of all of humanity is within us. And it's up to us to act in accordance with what we perceive to be our greatest and highest good in this lifetime. We have to live consciously, taking responsibility for our lives and their correlation to our thoughts and belief systems. Like the phrase, if you want to know what you believe, look at your life. To practice the laws of attraction, the art of manifestation, continue striving for positive change within ourselves first. To open our hearts to the knowledge that everyone we will ever meet is suffering in some way we may never know. That they deserve our kindness, our compassion, our forgiveness. As the Dalai Lama has said, only the development of compassion and understanding for others can bring us the tranquility and happiness we all seek. People deserve both our empathy and our attempt to understand their position. For that's what empathy truly is. It's treating others as they would most like to be treated, without judgment, without condemnation, without reservation, and without expectation. When we're empathetic, we're understanding, to whatever extent we can be, of the circumstances of another person and its potential ill effects. We're capable of compassionate listening without creating arguments or suggestions in our minds of better choices or decisions. In other words, we stop making arguments which really are for our own safety, and instead we simply rest our minds in the knowledge that someone is unhappy, and we seek to be present in that state with them, without trying to fix their problems or make them stop hurting, without trying to soothe or to solve. We learn to just be and live in connection. Because whether you like it or not, we're all dependent on one another. We're all sharing this amazing experience called life, and we all need and deserve love. All of us. So I'll end today with another quote by the eminent Dalai Lama. If we want others to be happy, we want to be happy? Practice compassion. Okay. I love you all, and I will go to the comments and see if anybody has any questions for today. And as always, if you're watching this not live, you can leave a comment for me, and I will check back every day and see if there's any question I can answer. Or you can contact me direct via Facebook Messenger, or simply schedule a call with me. Do we have suggestions for practices that we can do when uncompassionate thoughts come in? Mantras or thoughts to replace them? I mean, I think there's a number of them out there, but some that I use is the simple thought, I am you. You are me. And to recognize that no one wants to hurt. Not consciously, not deliberately. And if someone is hurting or they're suffering, then how I show up in this world is by being compassionate. Because we're one. I like that thought, to understand what you believe, look at your life. Did I get that right? Close enough. It's if you want to know what you believe, look at your life. And now some people will argue that because it's kind of a chicken or egg, right? They say, well, I believe what I believe because look at my life. But things like the art of manifestation or attraction will say, you think what you think and believe what you believe, and therefore you keep manifesting more of what you believe it is true, because like attracts to like. You can't believe one thing and live a life that is entirely different from it. Practice compassion for ourselves and others. Yes. But of course, ourselves have to be first, because we can't be compassionate to anyone else, truly, if we're not compassionate to ourselves. We can't really love other people if we don't love ourselves. And in order to love ourselves, we have to be compassionate and forgiving. And know that you, just like they, have always done the best you could in any given moment, in any given experience. Even if you look back and think, I wish I wouldn't have done that, I shouldn't have done that, I can't believe I did it, you can always trust you did the best you could. Because we all do. Nobody ever does less than their best. And those days where you think, I did less than my best today, I stayed in bed all day. Well, that was your freaking best. Because trust me, if you had more in you, you would have done it. Sometimes our best is just surviving. Have you ever had days like that? Where you're like, I'm just surviving this day. Well, that's your best. And sometimes that's another person's best too. I am you and you are me. You're welcome for the thought. Your simple yet profound beingness is more important than we realize. I don't know if that's to me or if that's just a really awesome quote, because I love it. Like, that's a mantra right there. Your simple yet profound beingness is more important than I realize. That's beautiful. Thank you. You're welcome. Compassionate and forgiving. Working on that forgiving. Knowing that I always do my best. Yes, you did, sweetheart. And something a teacher taught me once. There is no one out there doing you better than you. Right? No one out there living your life, having gone through what you've gone through, your trauma, your experiences, your childhood, your biopsychosocial model, your genetics, and has somehow up-leveled it. There just isn't, right? It just always makes me giggle when I say it, because it's such a good reminder that we are, in fact, living our lives perfectly. No matter what you may have beat yourself with thinking otherwise. You are. Now, that doesn't mean that you see your life as perfect. See, that's the difference. It does mean, however, that you're doing a perfect job at it. Yeah, you are. In every single moment, you're doing your best. And it is good enough. It is. And when you learn more and you learn better, you do better. And And then your life becomes better. And when your life gets better and you believe in better, you get more better. But you have to forgive yourself for the times you weren't better. And love yourself. And when you do, you'll find that you begin to love other people too. And that's crazy, but it makes life so good. Oh, it looks like more questions. I took my glasses off. Very good points. Thank you. No one out there does me better. No, they do not. You are up-leveling you every single day, and there's no better you out there. There's no Susan Fick doing you better than you. That's why you know you're doing you perfectly. You are always enough. Yes, we all are. Bad things happen to good people and good things happen to bad people. Yeah, it's fucking chaos. It really is. And you know, the part about religion that gets really sticky for me is if, you know, you have to be good to be saved and good things happen to good people, yet we might say when someone passed, oh, they were too good for this world. It's pretty freaking confusing, right? Like I can't be bad, but then I can't be too good either. So I have to find some middle ground of mediocrity with good intentions? I don't know. Maybe that's just me digressing. All right. Well, I love you all. Thank you for joining me for Thought Pain Therapy. And have a fabulous day. And as always, take care of yourself for me, okay? Okay. I love you.